Hey Pelicans fans, it's the Pelbros here with myself, James, and my co-host
Ryan. That's me. What's up? Let's roll.
Yeah, today we just got some news about I could say unfortunate head coach, losing their job. So Doc Rivers, head coach of the LA Clippers this year, and he's been for the past few years, was let go. Obviously with the disappointing season and postseason, especially versus the Denver Nuggets, where they were up 3-1 in the playoffs, and
they
choked away several leads, only to go down 4-3. Which is obviously a massive disappointment. Everybody was riding on them to make the conference finals and challenge the LA Lakers, and obviously with that not happening, they've decided to part ways with Doc. Whether that was a mutual decision, whether it was a firing, I don't think that's quite clear. But what that means is Doc Rivers is on the head coach candidate list.
He's on the market.
And there's actually been a few whispers and I guess articles, rumors, whatever you want to call it, that the New Orleans Pelicans have been having a few conversations with him. He's also been rumored to be chatting with 76ers. So today we thought we'd just share our thoughts on Doc Rivers as a coach and a fit for the Pelicans. So Ryan, do you want to kick us off? What are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, sure. All right. So first off, obviously there's positives and negatives when it comes to this, right? But I'll start off with a positive. Like Doc Rivers, I've always liked Doc Rivers. I know a lot of people got beef with Doc Rivers. I will talk about that later. But for me, my personal kind of bias, just so everyone's aware, that 2008 championship Celtics team is actually one of my favorites of maybe all time or whatever. And so for me, because obviously Doc Rivers was the coach of that team, right? That's the only chip he won, right? Having Doc Rivers as a coach for us of the Pelicans team that we have right now, I don't know. For me, it's a bit of like a wet dream for me. That's like how I can say it. What about yourself?
Yeah, I'm pretty conflicted on this decision or him as a coach. He's definitely got probably one of the best repertoires out of all the coaches available. He's the 11th most winningest coach of all time at the moment. Oof. With 943 wins, which is actually huge. I think that's across 21 seasons. So he's definitely got the experience and probably the most experience out of all the potential candidates that we're talking about here. I'm a fan of that Boston Celtics team as well. But in terms of, he's definitely proved himself with the Clippers. He's led them to a bunch of, I think it's almost 6 playoff appearances in the past couple of years. They definitely had a few, close calls with the CP3, Blake Griffin teams, a few 3-1 leads that they got up to, and then choked. So I will say, I might as well start with the positives. He's definitely got a winning mentality and a winning, record he'll bring with him, and hopefully he can bring if we do hire him, a winning culture. But there's some rumors or there's some criticisms of him that he plays favorites and he doesn't adjust, and he's unable to adjust. His teams are unable to get past certain rounds and not make it to the conference finals. What are your kind of concerns around Doc as a coach?
Going off of what you're saying, I guess something what I mean. Like we've just seen it just this season with the LA Clippers, right? I think I'm not too sure how true this is, but I've heard about Doc Rivers isn't that great when it comes to accountability. Which if you've been listening to us at the Pelbros, if anything, the next coach would be looking for is someone that would hold our stars, our players accountable, right? My main kind of thing to back this up is Lou Will going over for chicken wings, right? And PG-13 just fucking choking in the playoffs as per usual. And I mean, you can't really complain about Kawhi. And and the sixth man of the year, Montrez. What the fuck is this guy doing in the playoffs, right? So there's definitely some kind of accountability issues in that sense. Would you agree in that sense? Or
yeah, I was actually just going to bring up Montrez. I think he's a big one, but it's a good point that you talk about Lou Will. These are two guys that were contending for sixth man of the year with, I think it was it Trez that won this year?
Yeah, it's Trez that won.
These are two guys that they should be putting up 20 points per game. They played the whole regular season as like 6 men that were elite scorers, or whenever they were on the floor they just established a bunch of chemistry. And you're right, they were just abysmal in the playoffs. They dropped off as hard as PG dropped off in some games. And one criticism came from the fact that he kept overplaying Montrez against the Denver team when Jokic was way too big for him, and they kept scoring they would outscore the Clippers a lot more while Trez is on the floor, and yet he still chose to play Trez over Zubac. So, accountability would be a massive one. I think when we spoke in our previous videos or previous episodes about the type of coach we want, we did say, we want someone who is going to be able to develop young guys like Zion, B.I., Lazo, but also be able to hold them accountable, right? If you're not playing well, you don't get any special preference, any treatment, any special kind of treatment, and things like that. So
I was going to say, going off of that too, very quickly, you remember Big Baby Glen Davis too from that 08 Celtics team?
Yep.
So he's actually gone off, he's on record saying that Doc Rivers actually may be a bit overrated, right? Just that, it was just perfect timing with that Big 3 Celtics team, and then ever since then, he wasn't able to, get another chip, when he had all that talent. And then the same kind of situation in the Clippers with the Lob City era and now with the Kawhi PG era. Each time he's failed when it's come to, when the moment's there, he hasn't kind of taken it, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So, if you've got a former player saying that, I'm not too sure how I feel about that. Sure, I can see that narrative, but I still, I still got love for Doc Rivers, my personal opinion. And the main thing too is that I'm not too sure if he's necessarily the most craziest defensive coach, but I feel as if his defense in his coaching would be anything fucking better than Gentry, so I can't complain.
Yeah, just quickly, it's interesting you bring up about Glen Davis talking about Doc Rivers. JJ brought up some things. He didn't explicitly say anything as well, but there did seem to be I guess maybe not I don't know if I want to say beef, but like a toxic relationship amongst players and Doc during that Lob City era. But I'll be honest, I think that's probably birthed out of the fact that they kept failing or they kept struggling. I imagine the relationships were fine at the start. So yeah, I mean, overall, if I had to say whether I wanted him or not, like you mentioned, is an upgrade over Alvin Gentry, I'd be okay with it. I think no matter what, at least he could bring us wins and he could bring us to the playoffs. I don't expect him to take us to a championship, but realistically, can any Pels fans see us winning a chip in the next 2 years, right?
Yeah, that's true.
But if he can bring us to the playoffs over the next 5 years, and then we can work even to improve and then get to that final stage, then yeah, so be it. I'm for it. If it comes to it, then I'm for this decision. Any final thoughts from you?
Yeah, man. It's I guess my kind of final thoughts is that I'm for it too. But the main thing is that despite all these kind of wrongs he's had in the past, especially the 3-1 lead he's just blown in the playoffs, how I could see it is that maybe with Pelicans, it's a fresh new team, fresh new organization, fresh new front office and everything like that, right? So if anything, he comes here, it'd just be like a fresh start for himself, right? He could, a new start, new organization, and maybe it's for him, a time for him to right his previous wrongs, right? That's how I see it in a more optimistic light. But Mike, at the end of the day, though, although I would love to have Doc Rivers on board with us, right? The only last thing I'll say is that we do need to consider who else is available in the market. So I think it's quite hot, this market, this off season. So I'll trust David Griffin to make the best decision for us.
Yeah, I was actually going to say the exact same thing. No matter what, in the end, I just trust Griff, and we'll back his decision at least. Until we see, for at least one season.
Yeah, true. So I guess that pretty much sums it up. That's our thoughts on the entire Doc Rivers situation. If you guys got your own kind of thoughts, if you guys got your own beef with Doc, or even got other suggestions on who would be a better fit for our team, then please comment below, hit us up, whatever you want to do. Follow us on YouTube. We've got plenty of more content like this and plenty more content to come. At Pelbros on Instagram for the best Pelicans content out there, and that's not even talking shit. Is that anything else, James?
No, that pretty much sums it up. You'll find all the links down in the description. So definitely check us out on all the channels. That's pretty much it.
All right, sweet. So laters, guys. Peace.
See ya.